Hey YouTube, we're back with another DIY video on this second generation 2010 Cadillac SRX. And today we're going to be talking about how to remove the taillights. And so there are several practical reasons on why you'd want to do this. Maybe you had a little accident and one of them got damaged. Maybe one of the bulbs has gone out, things like that. My reasoning is going to be much less practical. Cadillac actually manufactures what they call accessory tail lamps for this vehicle. Now, I've only seen them in real life a couple of times in the 5 years I've owned this vehicle. I've always thought they set the back of the vehicle off. They really give it a unique look. However, with the asking price, if you walk into a dealership being over $800, I didn't like them that much. So I've been noticing lately that they show up on eBay from time to time at a fraction of that price, and I recently managed to snag a set of brand new ones from a dealership in Florida for under $300. So today's going to be partly a DIY on how to remove the tail lamps and how to reinstall them, and also kind of a review on these accessory tail lamps, since there's very little information that I could find on these tail lamps on the internet in general. Alright, so let's get started over here on the passenger side. This process is really actually pretty simple. So first we've got a little clip here that needs to be removed, and shout out to my father-in-law who saw my last video lamenting about not having the special tool and brought me the special tool. Now I've got to figure out how to use the special tool. Oh, well, that's neat. Well, those are handy. And that should be all that's holding this little black cover in place. And other than that, it looks like we've got a Phillips screw here and a Phillips screw here holding on the old taillight. And as far as I understand, that's it. It should come out now. And after 8 years, it might be a little bit tricky. There we go. And so that's it. So we've got, looks like 3 connections back here. The top one, I believe, is going to be for the brake lights. The brake lights are all LEDs. They're not really replaceable. And then you've got this big connection here, which is going to be your turn signal. That's a standard incandescent bulb, as well as one bulb over here for your backup lights, which is also a standard incandescent bulb. Fun fact, it looks like there's 2 bulbs down here in the bottom, but this one over here is fake, so there's just the one. So let's go ahead and disconnect these. There's a clip there. Oh, that's not good. And that's it. That's pretty much all that's required to remove the tail light. So there's what the assembly looks like. So let's unbox one of the replacements. So this is the actual GM box that they ship in, and there's the part number there. I'll leave a link in the description below. And we've got some paperwork here. There's apparently a little bit of modification that needs to happen to the factory harness to make it fit these lights. So we'll look into that here in a moment. And these are brand new. And that's what the accessory tail lamps look like. These just really, it's really hard to photograph how good these look. These look great in person, in my opinion. I realize it might not be what some people are into, but I really like the look. So you've got basically a clear housing instead of a red one, and so all the light pipe that comes up here is more exposed, as well as the LEDs. And then the turn signal bulb is actually an amber bulb in this model, which I suppose you could replace that with an LED one, but I'm going to see how it looks like the way it came. So that's the wrong lamp. And here's the pass-through. So the actual factory instructions have you modifying the factory harness to deal with a difference in the plugs. I have really no idea why they would have made the plug different on these accessory lamps. The only thing I can think of is maybe they intended these as export lamps in other countries or something of that nature. I don't know. But in any case, just the only thing that confuses me here is why go to all the trouble to modify this connector? Why not just swap the harness or swap the bulb socket from one to the other? So let's see what's going on here. So here's the original bulb socket. This just twists out like this. So we'll compare this to the other one and see if we can't just pop this in the other light. Alright, so you can see the differences now. The green one on the right is the one that came with the car, and the gray one on the left is for the accessory tail lamp. And so you can see how the plug is molded a little bit different on that one corner. So what they're proposing is that you literally shave off the little nub here that's different. I just don't understand why we couldn't just swap the bulbs and swap the actual bulb socket here and save ourselves a lot of grief. So you can't do that actually. If you'll notice on the 6 o'clock position here or thereabouts, this little tab is in a different position. So you actually really do have to modify the plug to fit the factory harness. So let's tackle that next. Alright, so with the bulb facing down, this bottom right hand groove or tab here is what needs to be removed. And so their official instructions are to grind that off. So let's grind it off. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the bulb so we don't damage it in the process. And it's always a good idea to use something like a paper towel so you don't get the oils from your skin on the bulb. That will shorten its life. And there we go. Alright, so there's the finished product. We'll see if that's close enough to slide it in the plug. I've got a little bit left down here, but I didn't want to mess up this area here. This would have probably been easier with a Dremel, but I left my Dremel at work, so we may do with a bench grinder. Some wacky instructions right here for from GM, but I guess it works. Alright, moment of truth. Let's see if this will slide in here. And hey, it does. Pretty cool. So the only other thing we've got going on now is that this little green tab here broke when I was removing the plug. I guess it's just brittle with age. So I'll probably add a zip tie or something around it just to keep it snug in there. So it won't be pretty, but what I'm gonna do is just run a couple zip ties around here to make sure this plug doesn't work its way loose. Shouldn't interfere with anything. Always something. Better if I had a bit bigger zip tie, but I don't. So we'll see how that works out. just clip these off. And that ought to keep it snug. So let's get the bulb in there and get everything put back together on this side. Alright, so let's get everything reconnected here. Thankfully none of these other connections need to be modified. So we've got a couple of these posts here, and they'll line up with the body here and help us properly slide it in place. Push there and it goes right in. So, I already like the way that looks. Let's get it screwed back together. Alrighty, we've got one side done, not too shabby. So now we've got a unique opportunity to see both style lamps on the vehicle at the same time. Alright, so the other side should be basically the same exact process. And one little item I'll point out, there are these little clips, 3 of them along the this cover, and they need to slide in to the light right there, there, and down here. So that's the only part that's a little tricky about getting the black cover lined back up. Alright guys, that about does it. I hope this was helpful to somebody, and I hope you guys will consider subscribing. We've got a bunch of other videos on the channel about this vehicle and a couple other vehicles as well. And for now, here's some sweet close-up shots of the new light.